What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And today, my guest is Mr. Richard Walsh, who's the CEO of Sharpen the Spear Coaching. Good morning, Mr. Walsh.
Gary, how you doing? Great to be here.
I am great, buddy. I'm great, buddy. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to read your bio, and then I'm going to set you loose, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Cool biz. All right, everybody, we have Mr. Richard Walsh. Richard is a 30-year seasoned entrepreneur. He's the best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison, the contractor's new way to scale, regain control, and fast-track growth while loving life. A speaker and podcast host, she's a husband and father of 6 children, a U.S. Marine, a champion boxer, black belt, and an internationally recognized steel sculptor. His expertise lies in combining both the strategic and tactical. He's able to deliver immediate problem-solving results, tactical, along with strategic long-term implementation of systemization and scalability. With over 30 years in business himself, Richard has embraced time compression, sharing the secrets and strategies that bring rapid and lasting results to the companies that he works with. And I am not going to screw up this podcast because he is a Marine, a black belt, and champion boxer. And he will kick my ass if I screw this up, guys. So hang in there. Pray for me, people.
I'll come right through the screen and get you.
Richard, this is great, man. I looked at a lot of your stuff. I saw your speeches and some other podcasts. I mean, you really are doing some amazing stuff. One quick question out the gate, just because we're the What If You Could podcast. I just wonder if you could share with our guests, have you had a what if you could moment? Do you have a what if you could thought for the world? What's your what if you could?
I guess what if I could? What if I could reach even more people? So my goal is 10,000 business owners, right? I want to reach, millions. What if I could do that and show them the profit, freedom, and impact they can actually do in their small business that so many can't? So, because you're never done, Gary. You know what I mean? It's like you do a lot, it's never quite enough. Some people are, and it's not because I'm discontent, it's because there's a lot of people to help. So if I could ramp that up to be even bigger, that would be something I would do. I'd kind of roll it back 6-7 years and start over again, with what I've been doing, my focus, but that was dialed in. So it's all good.
How do we do it? How do we get 1 million people to be coached and trained so that they love their life and they work a more strategic business under the Richard Walsh Sharpen Your Spear coaching program? How do we get to 1 million?
I think shows like yours. I think that's how we do it. I do a lot of guesting. I try to really get the word out there. I've been on hundreds of podcasts as a guest. I've done hundreds of episodes on my own podcast. For me, this time, that is one of the great avenues, because people are listening to learn. This is what I love about podcasting. Something that people, you and I, can go back before. You'd have to be like on NBC to get an audience. Okay, like you couldn't just. I've interviewed everything from Navy SEALs to NBA coaches to best-selling authors, everything you can, and everything in between. You could never do that back in the day. Like, and it's just, and you just have these great conversations with people like buddies. It is just awesome. So, this is such a platform to really do amazing things and share a message that you never could have, even writing books today. So I write books. I have 2 books now, working on a 3rd book. You can self-publish. I become a bestseller. I did all this stuff. You'd have to know the publisher, right? The 1 or 2 publishers and all that kind of stuff. So now it's like the barrier to entry is so low for business and exposure. There literally is no excuse anymore, Gary. If you want a message and you got a product or something you want to get out there, there's no reason you can't do it. None whatsoever.
So just because we're playing, and this is fun for me. So what is 1 million people under the Sharpen Your Spear coaching program looks at? What do you have to do? How do you have to scale up? What do you have to hire more people? There's only one of you, right, dude? You can only talk to so many people. So do you already train coaches to
Mhm.
put to do your thing? So
Yes.
how many coaches do we need to have 1 million freaking clients?
Well, first you have to set the time frame.
Mhm.
Is this a million in a year or a million in 10 years or 5 years, right? So you want to set that. So you need probably about 200 coaches, doing 20 to 30 clients at a time. Okay. So to get up there over a 5 to 10 year period, you can probably hit that number right in there, if you do those numbers. So, coaching is awesome, bringing in the right people. There's 32 million small businesses out there in the US alone. So if you think about that number in a million, well, that's still, it's a good number,
Yeah.
but I started with 10,000 because that sounded really big to me. Like, hey, that's a good number. That just, it rolls off my tongue. It's a good number. And then you start get going and going, oh man, I am thinking small. Other people think you're thinking big. I'm like, I'm thinking small. But then Gary, you got to quantify what coaching or helping, that million is, or that 10,000. Is it something like I can help someone with one little thing and say I helped a business owner?
Mhm.
I'm talking about the full package,
Yeah.
at minimum work with them for a year. Okay. And really get everything dialed in their business, so when you do that, that's different. People can make different claims, but you don't know what the quantifier is. Right. So we have to know the quantifier. What are we actually going to provide to check the box that we did one.
So basically, we're done with the podcast. You guys just all figured out how to scale your business. Thanks for coming. We're
Later.
gonna take. We just took you to 1 million freaking clients, like
Right.
in a five. See, this guy's good. I told you he
Yeah.
was
Poof.
good.
Yes.
When you're doing your, one of the things. It's funny. I just do this because I love talking to people. Like you said, I can't believe the people I've been able to talk to and meet.
Right.
They're like, dude, that schlep from California actually got to meet this guy, right? Um, but my son and I have a real estate business and property management. So we like to meet and brainstorm, and he loves to have the whiteboard, and we just
Love it.
pound numbers and stuff like that. So one of the things that did catch my eye, because I'm old and I don't know anything, and he's young and knows everything, um, was the why is having an exit strategy for your business so important? And I think about that a lot now that I'm 62. Is like, am I going to dump this on him? Am I going to stick around and help him build it? What's the end game for me? Right. So that intrigued me on that.
Right. So it's really the way I present it's going to seem counterintuitive. Okay. So I tell people the best time to start to create your exit strategy is before you launch your business. Okay. That's the best time. The second best time would be right now. Okay. If you haven't done it, right? Because here's how it works. I'll give you the high view. It's very simple. You go to the end. How long do you want to do this for? And how much do you want for your business? Two numbers. Is it 10 years and $10 million? Great. Let's roll with that. Okay. So if I have 10 years and $10 million, whatever the business is, now I reverse engineer. Now I have to go from that point and reverse engineer to go, how do I get there? What did it look like to get there? What do I need? So I do this. I say, okay, to do that, I also want to, make money. So let's say I get to a 7-figure salary. I'm making $1 million a year salary. I'm taking that home, right? And we do get to the end, and by the grace of God, I get 10 million offered to my business. I take that check. I go, shake hands, I'm out the door. I got the 10 million, but what did I lose? $1 million a year, right? So, oh, well, that kind of stinks. Okay, means I got 10 years with my 10 million and I'm done. So we go, okay, in this process,
Now what am I going to do? I can only
process,
freaking golf so much,
yes, I
right?
outlived my
IRS
money.
just took half of it.
That's right. I outlived my money. What a tragedy. Uh, so when we reverse engineer, go back to the beginning or wherever you're at right now, you go, well, okay, that means I'll need 83,000 a month in passive income. Okay, what does that look like? You're in real estate. How many homes, how many properties, multi-use, whatever it is, how many of those do I need to acquire per month over the next 10 years? What does that look like to generate me that income to replace that million? That's my active business income, right? Replace that. So even if I got out, got my 10 million, I never worked again, I still had that passive coming in. I got the 10 million. You could do whatever I want with that, either start another business, invest in more. So that's one of the first things, right? You really have to understand that because you have to, that's part of an exit. Because you have to understand, you've been in the world, we've all been around long enough, we've seen recessions, depressions, total collapse, we've all seen it all. If you've built that passive income, that's part of your strategy, right? That's going to save your ship. Okay. Because even if the business goes under, collapses, shrinks, you've got that still, right? So that's what's producing for you. So another thing you're going to do is what that reverse engineering does, Gary, is it now allows you to understand when you're going to hire the first person, second person, third person. What am I actually going to need at what stage? Because people often either hire too early or too late. They seldom hire properly when they need to, right? Well, this plan is going to help you do that. Okay. What are the stages? What are the phases of growth? Where are you going? What are you going to do? So the other thing it becomes, why I love it so much, is it's an incredible business filter.
A
Okay.
business,
So
wait, a business what?
filter.
Filter.
So a filter. Here's what it looks like. When you get rolling in business, you start doing pretty good, pretty well. You're like, hey, I'm making some money. What's going to come to you? Opportunity. I'm air quoting opportunity. Everyone's going to want a piece of your action because they got the next best thing that you should invest in, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh yeah, that looks really, interesting. Well, give me a day. Let me run this through my exit strategy. And if it gets me closer and faster to my exit strategy, it's a go. If it detracts from it, it's a hard no. So now I don't waste time on maybes. Could be a good thing, but I could chase it and make some money, but now I'm going to forget about the main thing. Now that's going to, you can't be splitting that. The spokes have to come to the same hub, right? So we got to make sure that we understand that. So that is all my decisions are made with the exit strategy in mind because it keeps you laser focused on what you're doing because distractions will kill most entrepreneurs. It takes them out. It slows them down. It's like tapping the brakes. It's like slowly putting on the brakes when you're distracted like that. So we want to make sure we understand our exit is the critical point. Now, one caveat, let's say you get to year 8 on your 10-year plan and you are just having a blast. You're making a ton of money. You're like, I'm not getting out of this. Well, move the goalposts. You have that option, right?
Yeah.
I'll do it for a couple more years. You talk about maybe secession, right? Maybe my kids want it. Maybe someone, because the idea, like I said, here's the fantasy picture at the end, Gary. Okay. You're asking for 10 million. Someone's interested in buying your business. Maybe you get 10, maybe you get 10.5, right? You're a good negotiator. You get that. They give you a check. You shake hands, you're out the door, they're in, and nobody knows the business sold. Okay. That's a business that someone's going to pay $10 million for.
Yeah.
So my whole point on that is they don't know who's going to come into your hot mess, okay, and fix it and redo it. Okay. So when you have an exit strategy, one of the final benefits is you build your business to sell, regardless if you're going to sell or not. Because what that means is you've systemized it. It's self-running, self-managing. You're focused on just the 5% of the business only you can do. The big visions, the big growths, reeling in the real big clients, things like that, right? Everybody else is handling the other stuff because you've created it that way. That's why that guy can walk in, I can walk out, and no one knows it's sold. Or then he can do his tweaks when I'm down the road.
Well, it's funny because I don't have any friends, but the couple that I do have that still love me and know me and still love me, um, they're like, dude, you keep talking about your 10-year plan, but you fucking keep moving the 10-year plan. It's like you never end your 10-year plan, bro. And I'm like, well, shit happens, right? I mean, 9/11 happened, the Great Recession happened.
Right,
It seems
right.
like every 10 years they kick me in the nuts and I got to reset my 10-year plan.
Yeah.
But the one thing I've always said and I've always told my boys is, and I just want your feedback on this, is that I always tell them, hey, I'd rather have 10% of something than 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about multiple streams of income. Like, so when we started the real estate business, I said, well, let's start a property management business and have that feed into the real estate business. And then what source of income can we get from the property management business to feed the real estate business and vice versa, right? And then can we get a cleaning company? And then can we get a maintenance company, and always trying to think, how do we add and grow from this business to a bunch of other businesses? And I guess so what you're saying is, I think, like, put all that together, get a number on that bad boy, and think at the end of this thing, I want X number of dollars. I'm selling this whole,
Mhm.
self-contained, control package, right? So it's
Yeah.
turnkey when you hand it to somebody.
Yeah, it's that wheel, spokes to the hub, right? You've created the wheel, everything going to the center, whatever that is. If the core is real estate, then you have property management, just like you said. It's exactly like you said. You have that, you have cleaning, maybe you had start a roofing business. I have friends, they have 300 properties, 330 properties. Guess what they all have? A roof.
Roof problems.
Okay. And they're going to need them eventually, right? So why not get into that? Right now you can do that, have that business and do that. But same thing, same property management. I said, okay, on real estate, now let's start to manage it. I have another client who does that. It's another offshoot of his original business. We've built multiple businesses now that still feed into the custom home building business. And it's an insulation company. Now it's a remodeling company. And now it's a property management company. Now it's going to be a marketing company as well, right? So we're able to build all this that feeds into that. So your concept is exactly right. Now you can also sell off pieces. Just like if you have 250 single family homes, you need some quick cash, you can sell one, right? You're not out of business. You make some cash and you keep going, right? Then you get this stuff back. So you have
I've had to
ways,
do that.
right? Most people have. But that's the whole purpose of doing it, right?
Right.
That's why you have it. It's better than not having it. I mean, you can always get another house,
Yeah.
right?
But
So,
it hurts, man. It hurts
I
when you got
know.
to do that. When you go, oh, I gotta let this one go. I don't want to. But hey, shit happens. Cash flow dries up.
Yep.
The,
Yep.
the government kicks you in the nuts. Something happens, and you just gotta. But
But
you're lucky
but
if you set it up right, you are lucky you have that to
exactly.
divest, right?
Exactly. The struggle, Gary, is when you start a business, you're going to wear nine hats. You're going to do a lot of work. You can work 60, 80 hours a week for the first couple of years. You're going to get this things dialed in to get it off the ground. You're that person. The problem is, Gary, is next you know, 10 years has gone by and you've repeated the first two 5 times. And that's the owner prison. Okay. That's where they're stuck. They're still doing everything. They haven't released, they haven't delegated properly, they haven't built systems and processes. They're not understanding the growth pattern. They don't know how to scale, even if they're growing, I'm air quoting growing and scaling, but they're not ready to. So they end up hurting themselves more than if they just stayed small because they don't have the personnel to go, they don't have the systems. They're trying to duplicate something that's not built to duplicate, right? Until they make it that way, then they can scale, but they don't understand this. And this is why the exit strategy, to go back to that, is so important, right? Because you have this laid out, you understand, you've already laid out the steps. And one final thing on that too, Gary, is when you have a family and you're in business, nothing ruins families more than a business. Okay. I mean, you can say, oh, well, but owning the business is like probably the number one marriage killer, family wrecker in the world. Okay, if not done properly. I mean, it is a mistress. Okay, it is
True
something
that.
awful. I mean, so it's been what, 15 years, 08, 09, everything's collapsing, right? I'm losing there. I go from being number one, 20 years of my business, best custom water feature builder, steel sculpture. I'm internationally recognized. I'm winning awards. I'm on committees. I'm all this stuff. And then in one day, November 5th, 2008, I lost $500,000 in a day. And it just kept going off the cliff, right? Because I wasn't really prepared. I was having too much fun being the man. I wasn't paying attention to the house. You know what I mean? I didn't lose my family, but I lost my business, lost my home. Okay, I had to relocate. I got 6 little kids, 4 years and younger. My wife, nothing, and everything gone. Now, here's the good part of that, because there is a really good part of it. So I woke up one morning and I had this epiphany, Gary, and I started thinking about my kids, my 6 little kids. You come home, they run, they crawl to you, they attack you, they just love to be with you. One day I'm leaving my truck pulling out of the driveway. My son is running behind me crying because I'm leaving. And I'm looking at him in the rearview mirror, but I'm off business. I got to save this thing. I got to keep going. And I'm like, man, if I stay on this path that where business is first, business is everything. It's about me. It's about my awards, it's about my identity, everything else. I'm going to destroy my kids' futures because more is caught than taught. I can tell them all the right things. That's easy. They're only going to do what they see me do. And that might be when they're 30 and hard times come, that's gonna be the default to do that, right? So I got that window to see the future. I got out of bed, went in the office, told my office manager we're done today. Not doing this anymore. Went to my yard, told my guys we're wrapping it up this week. We're finished. Didn't know what I was going to do, but I was never going to do water features again. I was never going to do sculpture again because what I realized, Gary, was my identity had completely become what I do. Without my Rick Rock shirt on and my hat, I didn't exist. Without those accolades, without all that kind of stuff, without the next great thing, I didn't exist. So I literally I did a bonfire in my backyard and burned all my uniforms, all my clothes. I burned everything. I'm like, I've never, and I
That's
have,
so awesome.
dude, and it's been 15 years. I haven't done a water feature. I haven't done a sculpture. Again, didn't know what I was going to do, and I'm an all or nothing guy. I don't always recommend that because I had a lot of stuff I could have kept and kind of kept going, but I made it extra hard on me because I'm also a pressure guy. I only perform under pressure. If I have limitless time, nothing ever gets done. I need to know that it needs to be done yesterday and I get it done. So that, and it started the whole process again, another business, opened a gym, had a contracting business. And then I wrote the book and I started to do it the right way where the business now ran itself. Other people did the work. I just guided it. I like to use the analogy of I'm the conductor of the orchestra. So think about this too. You don't know there's a 93 piece orchestra, right? You're at the symphony. You don't know one of those 93 people's name. But all of a sudden, a little music star, who comes walking up? The conductor. And it's Daniel Barenboim from the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, right? It's this, and he comes up, and that's the only guy you know. There's now 94 people on stage. You know one person. And he's just got a little baton. And he's bringing the best out of everybody, right? Little louder, little softer, little more, little right. He's doing that. That's what you are as the CEO, the owner of the business. You need to become the conductor. You have trained people, right? You have trained musicians. They know what to do. They just need that little bit of guidance, right? That's my favorite analogy to kind of put things in perspective when you're going to own a business and run it. Get to that position.
Well, you opened up like 10,000 cans of worms for me, so I'm a rabbit hole guy, so I'm screwed right now. Um, I guess just coming back to kind of where you go to man, blowing and going, 2006, 7, 8, right? It started after the towers went down and the Fed just dropped rates to zero. Needed construction, money was cheap, the derivatives was going on, everything's blowing and going, right? And I made the crucial mistake of thinking this this is going to be like the others. Like when 9/11 happened, right? I was blowing and going. We were freaking
Yeah.
blowing and going,
Yep.
right? And it hit the wall like I've never seen. I mean, literally at 9 o'clock when the second tower fell, 9:06 or whatever, freaking at 9:15, all my escrows are canceling, all my listings are canceling.
Mhm.
I go from just booming business to I've got nothing, and I just brought an employee on, and I remember just going, "Wow, all right, let's see how are we going to ride this? How are we going to build our way out of this?" And we did, and it happened very quickly. The effects of 9/11 went away very quickly. If anything, it got built strong. So I had that same mindset in 2009. Well, shit, this is going to be tough for a little bit, right? And then we'll write it out. But then 2009 and a half, get my nuts kicked. 2010, wait a minute. 2011, it's like, when is this going to end? That was such a different period, right? So then again, we shift. We go, all right, the real estate is just getting hammered. Let's focus more on the property management business, right? So we shifted. But the shift is very hard to catch. We shifted too late, right? Because we didn't think this was going to go on so long. But the other thing that you said that really got me was about the family. That's one thing my wife and I, she's passed now, but one thing we focused on was we got home at 6 o'clock, phones are off. I don't give a shit what happens to the toilets if they overflow. I don't care what happens. It's family time, right? Kids are at the dinner table. We're talking about our day. We're not talking about business. Um, but it's tough to get there because you see people still grinding it and making more money than you are and having more things and taking more trips. You're like, God, if I just maybe put in a couple extra hours, So what's the sacrifice, right? How's the sacrifice?
Yeah, I think here's how you look at it. Here's what you did right, Gary. Let me tell you what you did right. So there's standard of living and there's quality of living.
Yeah.
Okay. Standard of living, every time you get a raise, every time you make more money, you spend it. You buy another boat, you buy another Jeep, you buy whatever, right? You buy a bigger house. Quality of living, you get a raise and now you buy time and you
Mm,
make some more money and you get more time. All of a sudden, you're with that family at dinner every day. You're going on the longer vacations. You're able to take 3-day weekends whenever you want to do things with the kids or your wife, right? And do that kind of stuff. You've got clarity, you've got vision because you're rested. Okay. You're not stressed about making whether it's payroll or your own finances, right? Keeping up with that, trying to make them minimum payments on the credit cards because you want to have that next thing. I need that motorcycle. I got to have this. I got to have that. So that was a huge learning, experience for me to understand quality of living. That's what matters. One day I came home. My one of my sons. I have 4 boys and 2 girls, and the twin boys go 2 sets of twins. But I got twin boys, and Xavier, my one son, he was like 8. I rolled my truck, get out. It's been a hard day. Now I got things going. This isn't back in with the first business, the new one. But he gets out and he goes, Dad, come here. And he's got 2 like canvas chairs set up in the yard facing each other. He goes, sit down. He's like 8. I think he's 7 or 8 years old. And I sit down and I'm kind of looking at him. And he leans forward and he goes, so how are you doing? Just like that. I'm just like, you just kind of go, oh, I just kind of, it's like the balloon deflated. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, it's kind of a rough day today, and he's just like, well, tell me about it. I'm like, who's this 8-year-old? Like, he's like the unbelievable therapist. So,
Does he take after his mom or his dad?
well, a lot like me, we called him like my mini me, because he's been wanting to hang out with me since he was a baby. Like 1 year old, he would cry outside my office door because it was back behind the house, like screaming. And my office manager,
Yeah.
well, you want to let him in? I go, no, he's got to learn. He can't be here. He's out there in a diaper, like screaming. I wanted to be there. So finally, I'm like, okay, we'll let him in for a few minutes. He comes in. It's really cool. Sits down next to my desk, just started entertaining himself. He's like a year old, year and a half. Like, didn't say a peep. I'm like, well, that's not so bad. He just wanted to be with me.
Yeah.
Didn't
That's
need even
awesome.
need my attention. He's always been that way too. So, but that experience, I wrote that in my book too. So I'm like, it was just this connection that just took everything out of me. And it recentered me, Gary. It just made me go, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. But no matter how good things are, you're gonna have bad days.
Yeah.
Right. So what? But when your kids, when your family, let me tie this into the exit strategy too. When there's a plan, a growth plan, a scaling plan, your family needs to know what phase you're in. Okay. Because when they know what phase you're in, they can be your greatest cheerleaders. If they don't, and you come home and you say it's just business, you wouldn't understand. Right? And you're a mope and you're misery and sitting around, and it's just horrible, right? But
Yeah.
now they're excluded. This is the part that ruins the family. I don't want my family to be in my business. You know what I mean? I don't want them to work for me. But if they know where I'm at, okay, now we're getting ready to scale. So this next 2 months, I'm going to be a little less available because we got a lot happening to get to the next level, but it's only going to be about 2 months, right? So
Yeah.
now they get that. They know there's an end. But again, when I went back to the 2 years repeated 5 times, right? That's that your 10-year plan keeps going. It's like they don't understand the plan.
Yeah.
And most people don't have a plan in business. They're just going to make more money. They're going to get the next payroll
Yeah.
next Friday. Let's get to Friday and stuff. So that's what creates the owner prison, and that's what destroys families. It
Yeah.
truly is because you just can't detach.
I want to go back and you covered it, but because my brain is very small, um, the the business filter.
Yep.
You talked about the business filter, but can we go back to
Mhm.
that? Are you talking about the funnel? Are you talking about what do you talk to me about the business filter?
So the business filter is a decision making process. So when we talk about a funnel, we're thinking here's a lead into a prospect and sit right, and you're doing that, like funneling people through. A filter is a decision making process. Okay. If I'm pouring my coffee, it goes through a filter, right? So the grains, the stuff I don't want in my teeth, Okay, I just want brown liquid. I don't want it. So I use a filter, right? So I
The
get the
liquid
best.
of the gods.
That's
Yes.
right. If I want to dip, I'll take a thing of coffee grounds. But but I want that to come out exactly how I want it, right? Every time. When I make my coffee, I have a French press, do it every day. I have a functional mushroom coffee I use every day. It comes out perfect every single time because I have the filter, I have the press, I have a process, right? So I have this filter that I know I'll take it through there. I'm not going to mix the grounds in a cup and hopefully none gets in my mouth, right? That's what happens when you get all those distractions and go different ways because you have a plan, you stick to the plan, right? It's trust the process. When you get that, when you get help, when you hire someone like me or someone else as a coach, we're going to give you a process. I'm going to give you work to do. And guess what you got to do? The work.
Work.
You got to do it. You're not paying me to do it for you. You're paying me to guide you. I've
You
now
give
be,
us a system, we work the system. This is
that's
how
right.
it goes, people.
That's right. That's right. So the business filter is just that, right? It's understanding exactly how everything is coming out. Now, nothing's perfect. No one can, you can't ride a bicycle in a straight line. You can't walk in a straight line. You cannot. You're always going to go left. You're always going to go right, but you keep coming back to the center. The exit strategy, the filter, that's your center. That's where you tack, right? I go left, I come back, I go right. That's always going to happen. You have little pivots. And remember, they call them a pivot because it's not a 90-degree turn. That's not a pivot. That's a turn. Pivots are, and I'm a boxer. Okay. I pivot 3 inches, 6 inches. I just change my angle just that much. I've got you squared off. And when you're squared off, you're going to be off balance. And I can strike quickly. I can pivot quickly. I can strike quickly. And I can keep changing my pivot or you can't counter. Right. And I will end you.
I will. I will end you.
Yes.
I'm not
So
messing with that. I'm not
well,
messing with that. All
it's
right.
okay. It's
Okay.
just, we kind of,
But
I
you
want
know
to
what the
paint the
truth is?
picture.
What you just said was I didn't mean to cut you off. But what you said is such a great visual because I love boxing. I mean, way back boxing. Back in the 70s. But that's such a great visual. So I mean, your opponent's coming at you. You know where he's going to go. You know
Mhm.
if you shift this way, he's going to be off balance. You come in with that jab or that hook, he's freaking gone because you caught him off balance. He
Mhm.
won't be able to pivot or move, and he's not going to be able to absorb that blow like maybe he would in a different position. And so when you're talking about it with business, like we talked about getting kicked in the nuts in 9/11, 2008 and 9, I wasn't ready to pivot, right? I was off. I was not ready to take that type of blow. I thought I was, right? But so I'm sorry. So go on with the filter because this is great, chef, right here.
So this is the point. So now the filter also causes you to build the business correctly, right? You have to do it because you have an end goal. And again, whatever number you picked, 10, 100 million, 1 million, 100,000, I don't care what the number is, right? But you understand what it takes to get to that number because you do numbers. And this is another thing that most small business owners don't know, and that's their numbers. They don't have a basic P&L. They can't tell you what their gross profit and net profit percentage is, right? We have to understand this. They don't get it. They're driven by revenue. This is really important, Gary. They're driven by revenue. Okay. And the great saying is revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. They're not focused on profit. They get a guy who wants to market for them. Hey, I'm a great marketer. I can double your revenue. And you're like, oh, cool. So then he's out, he's going to double your revenue. And then he's going, hey, we got a 20% discount on this and a 30% on this. And again, you're going, and guess what? He doubles your revenue, but you didn't make any money because those discounts eat your profits. And here, let me give you a simple way to think about this. I got a product or service, whatever it is, I sell for $100. Cost me $70 to make it. I make $30. Keeping it really simple here. Oh, here comes my marketer guy says, well, let's have a 10% discount. Okay. Well, now I sell it for 90, still costs 70. I make 20. Now I have to sell 33% more products to make the same money I did at the $30 margin. It's that simple. Just, there you have to sell via value, right? So totally different. But they don't. They're driving as revenue and you're paying them per month to do their service. And you add that up, all of a sudden you're not losing 10%. you're giving away 25% of the, of the profit.
Realtors are so great at this. This is because realtors are run by a sales volume number. Dude,
Mhm.
I'm freaking huge. I sold $1 billion in volume, right? I'm massive. All right, what did you net? Why? Listen, I just told you, I'm like the dude. I sold $1 billion worth of real estate. I got it. What did you net? Well, I don't know. So you got 97 buyers agents, you got 75 assistants, you got 5 offices, all your cars are leased, you don't even own your own house, all your clothes are leased. Dude, you're making about $9 an hour.
Yeah,
You'd be better off working at McDonald's and not having the stress.
that's right.
But you're like you said, that was so right on. The top number is ego.
Yep.
The bottom number feeds your family, and the
Yep.
bottom number is the only thing that matters, right?
The bottom number enables you to invest. That you take that active business income and you can turn it into the passive. That's amazing, right? But it's what are you keeping? I mean, what do you keep when it's all said and done? You paid everything, every tax, every bill, every employee, everything, and then how big is the pile on the table that has nowhere to go? That's real net profit. It's not, and people do some funny book stuff. I've seen some funny at a client, they, doing $1.5 million a year in revenue, 76.7% gross revenue or gross profit rather, right? You know what her net profit was according to the book, the CPA, it was 1.9%. So at the bottom, there's $30,000. And I'm like, okay, this has got to be a book thing, like finagling this stuff to, like, it looks good to pay tax on only $30,000 until you get audited. And I think there's going to be a problem, but that's what I mean. Like, people don't get that and they look at it. And I'm not saying it's like wrong. I'm saying, how is that actually presented? How are you coming to that number? I've had people, doing 10 million a year and they're taking home 100,000. That's a broken model. It feels
And think of the
good.
stress. Think of the stress to make the $10 million.
That's
Think
right.
of the stress. That's what I tell some of these guys. I'm like, dude, the effort and stress you put in to net that 250 because you want that ego number. Shit, dude, if you fired everybody, got rid of everything, and just went out on your own as a realtor, doing your own stuff, you'd make 300,000. You'd make 50,000 more with all the massive headaches.
Right.
And so you're right. You guys got make guys producing $10 million, bringing home 100,000. You ought to just quit. That's
Yeah.
almost failure numbers.
It's crazy, Gary, because I think of it too, just like we did the what if I could, and you said like a million, and then what does that take and everything else? You're like, well, I want to do it to help business owners. I've never been driven by money for money's sake. I get the aspect of it as a tool, but it was never what motivated me. And I made a ton of it. People would pay me anything I wanted because no one could do what I did. I did incredible stuff, but I didn't know anything. And I also didn't know anything about money. So you know what they say, the things you don't pay attention to, they tend to leave. Okay. So like, do that to you. Don't pay attention to your wife. She'll leave. Don't pay attention to your friends. They'll leave. Right. Don't
Like
pay attention to your money.
Zig Ziglar says, only, as the dentist told him, only brush the teeth you want to keep.
Right. Right. That's all I gotta use that one. I never heard that one. I love Zig. He's awesome. Well,
He's
it
awesome.
was. Yeah. Well, but you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like they're not understanding, they have to focus on profit. That's what I do now with people. It's profit, freedom, impact. No
Wait,
profit,
wait,
no
wait, wait, wait. What was that?
it's profit, freedom, then impact. Okay?
Profit, freedom, then income.
Impact.
Impact. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to make a difference, right? With your
Yeah.
business. So, but it used to be freedom, profit, impact. Then I realized, you know what? It sounds good. It rolls nicely. But the reality is, you're not getting freedom without profit. I mean, true freedom, that quality of living, that takes profit. I know it seems like standard living, but it's quality of living, right? The quality of life. So we need to understand that, and that's profit. You need to find a profit. And what I find, Gary, is there is so much profit in a business that people just ignore, which sounds odd. They don't know where it is. They don't know how to get it. They don't know how to compound this, do small changes, and make a ton of profit. Little tweaks, and that's what we do for people. And once they get to that, and you refocus, get them off gross revenue, get them focused on profit, their world changes because they see things different. You mean I don't have to go open another location? I can just focus on these things and do double, triple. Wait, a 1,700% profit increase? What? It's like, yeah, I go
That
just
doesn't compute in my head.
right, right. It's just like too big of a number. You know what I mean? That's Venezuelan inflation numbers. You know what I mean? But
I
it's
love,
like,
love, love, love the title of the book. And you said you had a couple others if you want to talk about those too, but escape the owner prison. Because I tell you what, I mean, you talk to business people more than I do, so but just my friends who own businesses, it's like, dude, like I said, do you want to run your business or do you want your business to run you?
yeah.
You gotta sit down and figure out, am I gonna let my business run me or am I gonna run my business? Because at this point, I'm freaking exhausted and I don't have any money and I'm taking out a loan to pay my taxes and I make all this money. It's like, dude, you gotta sit back and please go talk to Richard because you're a disaster, right? So
Yeah.
escape the owner prison. How'd you come up with that title?
So writing books can be challenging for a lot of people. This one was in me. I wrote it in like 3 weeks. The book, I had 27 working titles. Okay. Because that's the hard part. Writing the book's easy. It's the title and the subtitle. 27 working titles, Gary. And I'm like, I'm still not happy. And I'm at a track meet. My
Were you
my
writing
son's
them up on a board somewhere? All these
yeah, I had
27?
a whole line. I had it on a document, and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, that's good. It's not good. So I'm at this track meet, and my son's running, and a good friend of mine owns a manufacturing company and stuff. We're chatting. We homeschool all our kids and stuff. So we got that connection. And the kids are running. I'm talking. We always talk about a little business. I go, okay, Gary, I got a new, and I got a new title. Tell me what you think. And I go, escape the owner prison. And he just looked at me. He goes, that resonates. And I went, done. That's it. I'm fit. It's done. Okay, escape. Give it to the editor. I go, now I need a subtitle. Oh my gosh. Now I got the subtitle. So I'm writing the whole thing out. It's the contractor's new way to scale, regain control, and fast track growth while loving life. It was longer and it has editor. She just came and she said, well, just take these two words out. And I went, oh, that's why editors are awesome. They will put a comma where it needs to be. They'll move one word and put it in another place. And it's amazing. And this is how I'm that guy when I'm typing. If I make a mistake, I go back instantly and correct it. I don't wait till I'm done. It's weird. But so I literally, she edited everything right. And I printed all her corrections. I wanted to see them all. And I'm like, oh, look, one comma on this page. Oh, one word here. I'm like, so I got all her stuff's in red. I just printed out like, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Look at that. For a guy who could barely graduate high school, I did pretty good. So but it is that, and that escape the owner prison. Again, it was my friend said it because, and he did some big numbers, right? So again, it's not, no one's immune to it, and they get it. They built it, and he had built his business over 30 some years. So he knows, he's been there, right? Maybe not there now, but he knows what it is. So yeah, and it's funny too, Gary, that like I put it out there, the book's out there, I hit bestseller and all this is great. But then it's like, as of late, like I don't know what it's been. It's just like people are hearing that it's like they're like getting the title now. I don't know what it is. Like all of a sudden people are like, that is like a really great title. Other people never talked about my title. You know what I mean? Like I know it's weird, but it's like they talk about the contents and we talk about all this stuff, but no one really. I'm like, well, I wonder if that is a good title.
No, you're totally in the sweet spot, and it seems like it's geared toward contracting. And I was going to ask you about that, but it's totally in the sweet spot because I think if there's one thing that COVID exposed with the pandemic was, people now were forced to step back. They were forced to go home. They realize they hate their dog, their wife, and their kids. They realize they hate their business because they were forced to stop, which
Right.
we as business people we never most people don't stop.
Right.
right? We don't go on vacation. We never leave the business. We take it home with us. It's in our brain. We never stop, right? So we were kind of forced to stop there for a little while. And I think a lot of people came out of it and goes, shit, you know, I'm basically a prisoner to this frickin' job or this
Mhm.
business. So you're really in the sweet spot because I think moving forward, more and more people want to get out of what they were doing and find something that brings them that profit, that freedom, the impact, right? So and that's why I think people are resonating so much the title now. They saw the prison they were in.
Yeah, it's a good observation. I didn't think of that. That's awesome. I think what's important is people, like you said, they readjusted what mattered, right? They started to see what really was important. And I think too many guys, like you said, too many people are serving their business. The business isn't serving them. That's how I look at it. Like you really, why are you propping this thing up? What have you done? So and it's not like their fault. Because remember, most people are they're a technician or a craftsman or something. They do something well and they think they can do better from the person they're working for. I'm all for that. They go start their own thing. But what do they only know? How to do the thing. They don't know the business part. But they're making more money because they get to keep all the money now. Instead of working for 25 bucks an hour, they're getting the full 80. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But then they don't understand the business part. And that's then they try to tackle it themselves and then maybe get a CPA and they get this and they don't really help. They're just compliance and they don't really get the workings of the business and how to scale something that's profitable.
So do you think people, like I was saying, I mean, my thing's always been to rather have 10% of that and 10% of that and 20% of that and then 100% of nothing. And I'm always like trying to make partnerships and growth and stuff like that. Do you see people who are just like, this is my baby. No one can do it like I can.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold on to that sucker as tight as I can. And you go to them and go, dude, you're killing off growth.
Yes.
I mean, how do you get people able to let go of their
Yeah.
baby and expand?
You're your own jailer, right? You put yourself in there and you lock the key from inside. You locked it and threw the key off on the floor. That's what you've done, right?
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to, I call it outside eyes, Gary. So I
Call it
come
what?
outside eyes.
Outside eyes.
So I can walk into a business and like right away I go, well, that's messed. I can tell you everything, all the problems, because I've worked with enough people, seen it, done it all myself. Right. The best thing about failure, it's the greatest teacher. You don't learn from success. Success is nice. We all want it, but you don't learn from it. You really learn from failure. And I got a stack of them. Okay. So I can go in and I can see this. So what I have to do is you have to show them, yeah. Oh, and I give it to them. I go, you are the best at what you do. No one can do it as good as you. Let's start there. So if I've got John over here who's coming on board and he can do it 95% as good as you, you're not going to turn him loose. Because I'll tell you this, I'll give you a real case example of my own business, my water feature business. One day we built ponds and waterfalls, right? In backyards, and we do all this water features. So one day I'm like, I can't be here. So I paint it on the ground. I get out there, tell my guys, hey, face the waterfall this way, do this, build this. You guys have been doing this for 10 years. I got to go. And I left and I'm thinking all day, like, oh man, what's this going to be like? I mean, I knew my guys were competent. They were really good. And I came back, I come around the backyard, Gary. The woman in the house comes out. She sees it, the waterfall. She's going, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. This is amazing. Oh, I'm like, you know what I'm thinking? I'm
They
free.
faced it the wrong way.
No, I'm like, I'm free.
Oh,
I'm like, my
oh,
guys don't need me. I said, now I would have put a rock here. I would have moved stuff over there, but that's the artist in me. Who cares?
yeah.
The homeowner doesn't know the difference.
And they're
I,
happy. And they're
they're
happy.
like they got the greatest thing ever in their life. I had a guy just quick story. He owned a huge salon, a couple big salons. His name was Teddy, and I'm in his office one day, and he's just talking about his neighbor's pond, his waterfall. It's the most beautiful thing. 5 minutes, he's raging about this thing, right? Saying how awesome it is. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. Have you seen my website? And he goes, no. I give him the. He pulls it up. You see him looking at it, Gary. He's looking at it, kind of, and he looks up at me. He goes, he doesn't have a nice pond. Okay. It's like, I'm like, till you see the real, you know what I mean? So it's comparison, right? It's like you haven't seen, you're not judging apples to apples. And all of a sudden, like 5 minutes of railing about how great that guy's thing was until he saw my work. So again,
So,
for me,
so
that
the escape the owner prisoner. It's geared towards contractors, yet it's really geared towards all businesses, right? You
it
just
is
kind of
correct.
focus on the contracting because that was your sweet spot at the
Yep.
time. But
Yes.
basically, you could scale, take this cookie cutter, this recipe, and take it
Mhm.
to any business, right?
Yeah, because to do good marketing, you want a niche. You can't be all things to all people. If I wrote a book that said escape the, whatever, like all of you, they'd be like, oh, that's not
I'm
me.
gonna fix all your shit,
All of
everybody.
you, everybody, the whole world. I'm here for you. Just call me. Just bow twice and then ask me what you need. Okay. But yeah, so you always want a niche, right? The riches are in the niches. Find that focus in laser good because then that's how you're gonna get it. Because I built an academy around the book. So I can start coaching people. So now they can read the
Wait,
book,
wait, wait,
come
wait, wait.
in.
So you built an academy
Yes,
around the book.
correct.
So you took the book and now you started this academy and this coaching program. You didn't
Correct.
have this before the book.
No,
Oh,
I
all
was
right, cool.
mentor. I
So
was
this
meant.
was your roadmap. This was your roadmap
Yeah.
to start the
So
okay.
I was mentoring people because they're asking, "Hey, how'd you go from that 20 years losing everything, starting over, and now you got two more businesses, you're scanning, you got the time?" I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you." And I started just helping them. Okay, mentoring, right? And we all know mentoring is what? Free.
Yeah.
It's free. Coaching, you get paid. You pay coaches, right? So I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm gonna start a coaching business. So I wrote the book, built an academy around that. A few iterations later, we're in Sharpen the Spear, and that's what we're doing. So but they needed that place to start.
Mhm.
Understand that, understand who I am, because my story is all inside that book. Losing everything, the whole thing. It's not just some, how-to textbook. It's like you get the life. So and it resonates. I gave it to a guy last night. This book, so I have it here. So we're coming out of. He's a roofer. I got a Bible study I do on Thursday nights. Okay, so he came last night. First time I met him at church, and then he comes last night. He's a roofer. We're talking. We're coming out. He goes, so what do you do? So I started telling him. He goes, oh man. I go, wait, matter of fact, hold on. I open up my backpack. I pull out this book. Right. I'm at my car. We're out in the parking lot, and he reads. He goes, that's where I'm at. He just that's exactly where I'm at. Well, enjoy it. I said, let's talk. I can help you out. So it was just that kind of thing. It was just this is where people are at, and most small businesses are this place. And so I saw all the patterns, Gary. The patterns were the same with every business I mentored. I'm like,
And,
wow, and I know, and I figured it out. So
and you know what's so really wicked bad is people do not understand that the numbers, what, 70% of the country is basically small businesses, run the country. Now, Amazon, of course, has wiped out, I don't know
mhm,
how many businesses, but I mean, but really, small business is the engine of the country. And the
mhm.
fact that small businesses are getting their butts kicked,
Yep.
and these, even doctors, I mean, even doctors and dentists now, doctors just want to quit. I mean, they,
Yep, they sure
they
do.
don't even want to be doctors anymore. They're just getting the insurance business has completely killed
Mhm.
doctors. It's so sad.
100%.
I
Yep.
know a lot of doctors are like, you know what? I'm not going to take insurance anymore. I'm going to go back to my little black bag. I'm going to go to people's homes for house calls. I'm going to take
Concierge.
50 bucks, $100. I'm going to take a dozen eggs. I don't even give a shit anymore. Seriously, it's like they're just
Yep.
like they're not only the prisoner to their escape the owner prisoner, but they're being jailed by the government, by the insurance
Hmm.
companies, by
Hmm.
big pharma. They're like, it's horrible, right? So this is such a great timing. I mean, you're just like such at the wave of what's going on, and that's why we need to get you to 1 million people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I won't disagree with that. But you're exactly right about the doctors. I had a guy, and it was 15 years ago, maybe longer. And same thing, doc. He's like, listen, the state owes me 250,000. They won't pay. He goes, I'm just going back to music. Because I want to play my guitar. I'm gonna do that. He's like, I'm done. I just had enough of this. They don't want to pay you. They owe me the money. They don't cut you a check. You're always in Illinois, and they're the worst. So it's like a little
You know,
communist
it's
state.
funny because I I went through cancer treatment, and I when I'd go in, I'd have to slide my $15 copay, right? Thank God I had insurance. I didn't have insurance for 10 years. I was so sick of it after my wife died. I'm like, you guys are a scam. You did nothing for us.
Right.
And I got out of insurance. But the way they hounded me for that $15, like if they didn't take it when I
Right.
checked in, and then later I'm getting letters and calls, we're going to send you to collection. I go, dude, it's $15. You probably made
Yeah.
$4,000 on that radiation treatment, right?
Yeah.
But then I listened to this guy on a podcast and he explained about the $15, why it's so crucial that these guys, because if they don't get the $15, the insurance company can say, well, we don't know if you did that treatment. We don't trust you. How do we know you did that treatment? We're not going to pay
Right.
you. And it's like, wait a minute, dude, I served that guy. And they go, well, you didn't get the $15 copay. There's no proof. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. It's all by design, Gary. That's just all by design. Because here we are thinking, hey, it's $15, but them, it's their out. It's an insurance company's out for that. They're not excited to ever pay for anything.
No.
They don't have the biggest buildings in town for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you look at it, it is criminal in its own sense. But and I have healthcare professionals as clients too. And the same thing, it's this insurance thing is just it brutalizes their business. Because what do you compete on? Price. They tell you how much you can charge. You get so now we have to do all these workarounds to get upsells, cross sells, even a downsell. People, I just want my free this. They come in just for the free thing because they're on whatever, right? So it's a challenge. So you make a great point, Gary, that these guys are going, wait, I'm going to go do it this way, right? So what does that take them back to? Quality of life.
Yes, exactly.
Well schooled, know what they're doing, everything else, and I'm all for it. I love it. I mean, be a concierge doctor.
Yeah.
I'm on call.
Yeah.
People would rather pay you a retainer. You know what I mean? Like, and then
All
when
day
you show
long.
up and do this stuff, like it's you have to think outside the norm. You really have to be counterintuitive. And again, we talk about the niches with this title in my book. Same thing with your practice. How can you what's your niche? Who can you serve? Who's the early adopters in that kind of thinking? Well, that's going to be the wealthy. And those are good clients, right? So you got to really rethink that, and you can restructure your entire business, gain double the time, make more money, right? People will appreciate what you do. Not only will you get paid, they'll actually appreciate you, right? Love you, understand like that is a whole different game. You're not running a patient mill, you know?
And you get to go back to doing why you wanted to be a doctor, which was just to heal people, not to be an accountant for a pharmaceutical company, because that's what doctors are. They're just an accountant for a pharmaceutical company. You've been so gracious with your time. I don't want to take too much longer. You've been awesome. This flew. Um, what we've been talking about reminds me of a saying that I say all the time. I used to even tell my kids when they were little, when they're like, Dad, I want to jump off this roof onto a motorcycle and then try to do a jump. I'm like, all right, go for it. However, pain is a great teacher, my friend. You may learn that this was not a good idea because pain is a great teacher. And you and I have been through some pain,
Yep.
right? Economic pain. But you have come through, you've got your beautiful family, you've got your children, you're homeschooling, which I totally love. Um, you've rejiggered your business. Now you're helping so many people and you're going to be helping millions more. So what is your thought process for moving forward for small businesses? What do we need to do to help all these small businesses that are really suffering right now with what's going on with the government?
I think what they have to do again, they have to think and yes, I'm a coach. You may be a coach. There's lots of coaches out there. It's more of a phenomenon now. It wasn't there when we started
Yeah.
35 years ago when I had no coaches. I wouldn't take help anyways.
You went to a business consultant and they took a $10,000 retainer and charged you
Correct.
$1 million.
Yes,
Yeah,
and sent you a
but
report.
there's no
Yeah,
coaches.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So I think one big thing I encourage all small business to is you got to ask for help. You got to get help. Help means like what's broken in my business, my outside eyes, another coach, they're going to see it. They can turn it around in a heartbeat. What I've done for my clients, and I'll give you, and here's again, I talk how I just love helping them get that freedom. I had one of my clients' wife contact me. She said, "You know what, Richard? Never thought this could happen. We just spent 2 weeks at the beach with all 5 of our kids, and he was never on the phone. Totally present, like never. This has never happened. 8 years in the business, 9 years, never. I never thought, kids are all now 7, 8, 9. She's like, this is unbelievable. I go, that's why I do it. That's why, because now they know. It's like, they were doing 12 jobs at a time and not making any money, doing a few million, but not making. It's like, whoa, whoa. How about we do 4 jobs at a time and you make twice as much? And guess what we did? 4 jobs at a time, make twice as much. Okay, so it's like, isn't that better? We understand who we
That's
serve.
way
We do
better.
that.
And
Like,
but the gift that you gave these guys is even better than
yeah,
money.
it is.
Trust me on that. I mean,
Yeah.
and like I said, we sacrificed for our kids. I probably could have made a little more money. Could have been like that, but it was like, no. Family time. We're a unit. The 4 of us are a self-contained unit. Nothing's going to break through that. I don't care. Money. And if you met my 2 sons, you'd go, wow, his wife did a great job.
Yeah, well, we're very similar. I say the same thing, like because we homeschool the kids all the way through. Like my oldest is now in the Marine Corps, been in the Marine Corps for a year, and my others are, I got 19, I got 2 19s, 2 18s, 2 on the 17 as well. So we're homeschooling all the way through, and I tell people, I go, well, I do art and PE. Okay, that's what I teach. My wife does the hard stuff. Okay, because you don't want me teaching anyone math and stuff. Okay, so she gets all the credit, and she's the
So
master of the field trip.
I cut you off there though. So you were getting us to the point where we're taking these small businesses, getting them some help, getting them a second set of eyes. I mean, honestly, I mean, like you said, you could walk into a business,
Mhm.
you can look at this business and very quickly go, I think I got an idea what's going on here,
Yep.
right? So when you
Yep.
do that, you sit down with them and go, if I was you, I would.
Mhm. I do it even simpler. It's even simpler. I don't have to be at your business. We could do it just like this podcast. We could do it via Zoom, and I will show you exactly what I can do for you. I can find you in your business over $100,000 in profit in less than 3 minutes. Annual profit, not, hey, go make some sales. I mean, annual profit. Then we'll get into a bigger assessment and I'll show you even more. And then we can go even deeper than that. So there's all the stuff I can actually show you, give you reports on it, complete reports, what it looks like. Here's the steps. Okay. And I'm straight up. I'm not the hardcore salesman. I said, you get 2 options. I'm going to give you like a 17-page report that's going to tell you everything you do and how to do it, air quote in here, or you can have me help you. So which would you prefer?
I don't see you being a real sugarcoater. I don't see you being a big fluffy sort of.
Does that
I
come
see
through?
you as a guy who like, I don't know if it's the Marine part, the black belt part of the championship boxer, or all combined. But I see that you bring it. And listen, honestly, are we tired of the bullshit? I mean, do we really want some accountant or consultant, an attorney to come in and blow smoke up our butt and give us all this rigmarole, waste all of our time and our money? When you can come in and go, look, dude, here's the deal. This is where we are. This is where we can go. What do you want to
And
do?
it's imperfect action. That's what we take all
It's
the time.
what?
Imperfect action. That's the
Imperfect action.
that's the key to success. Okay.
Imperfect.
Action alleviates anxiety. If you ever know anyone who suffers from anxiety, I guarantee you they have an inability to make a decision because that's what causes anxiety. Oh, is the light going to turn yellow? Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? I don't know. I knew someone like that, freaking out at every single light. I'm like, what? But people, they can't make a decision. Like, make a decision. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Just make it and get moving. If it's wrong, fix it. But keep moving. Imperfect action. That's what wins the day. You know.
Imperfect action.
So I
And
like, and again, I've been punched in the face. I have artificial parts, new nose. I got all kinds of neat things in my face. You wouldn't know because I'm so pretty. But
I
other
was
than
going to say
that,
you're dang
so
handsome. I didn't. I would have never guessed.
incredible plastic surgeon, fixed me up, best in the state. So, but when you look at it, it's the same thing. You gotta get punched in the face once in a while. And a little saying I came up with, it is mine. I said, every now and then you need to taste your own blood drawn by others. Okay. So you need to
Yeah.
take some shots. And I'm not saying I'm going to come physically punch you, but like some of the things I'm going to tell you and show you are just a reality check. Because as the entrepreneur, Gary, we are the problem. In your business, if you an honest look at yourself, you find out you're the problem. You're the roadblock. You're keeping people from doing what they need to. Just like you said, the guy wouldn't let go of the hammer. I got to do it. I'm the best at it. You're the problem. And you need to go. I'm the problem. Okay. I
Yeah.
have a problem. I'm a control freak. I'm this, I'm that. I'm unwilling to, to get help. I spent my first 20 years. I had a billionaire client giving me advice. I wouldn't take it. Big hitters I'm dealing with. I mean, he owned multiple sports teams. I'm talking professional sports teams,
Mhm.
manufacturing plants. What does he know? He doesn't build water features. I mean, that's the level of stupid that they operated at, Gary. That's the level of stupid. Okay. I'm doing this myself. Twice as long, twice as hard. I got there, kind of. But I look back, everything he said was right. And he was just a greatest guy ever. Favorite client, just an amazing self-made guy. And I'm thinking, like, what do you know? Just it was, and I had other people like that too in my life. Just give you these simple recommendations, but I could be a little intimidating. I'm not super open. I'm way different now. I'm not who I was, thankfully, praise God. But now I look at it like I'm looking for the best who can help me. Who can help me? That's like my total focus.
But
I'm,
don't,
I'm
don't you don't you notice though that what I've found way before I started doing the podcasting, just in business in general, I waited tables for a long time because I didn't graduate high school and I don't know anything. So, um, I just fell into real estate because my wife said, "Get your real estate license." I'm like, "All right, I hate salespeople, but I'll do it." But what I found, I worked at a real high end restaurant. Like, very wealthy people would eat there, and I'd listen and stuff like that. And a couple of them took me under their wing and were very nice to me. And I've always found that the people who really are successful, who really are at the top, are the best sharers, are the best givers. They're happy to share with you. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to every rule, but I mean, once you find that, but it's the ones that are on the bottom who think they know everything that are constantly failing are the ones that you just can't get to.
do you know why, Gary? Because when you achieve those levels of success, you want other people to as well. You know how great it is. Like I did all this. Yeah, it's work, it's hard, but if they've got uh the inspiration and the drive to do it and you see them working, that's what people did for me. I'm a guy with a wheelbarrow and a shovel, and I'm shoveling a rock 35 tons a day, but I'm making $1,000 a day. But then well, here, let me show you how to do that easier. Let me do that. All these guys who are way more successful than I were started just saying some things and show me things. That was that. Now I look at it like every high end, you know, high achieved person loves the startup. They look because they've been there, right? And if you do it and they can save you, like I talk about time compression. I got 35 years in. You think I can share a few things with you to save you some time? Like a decade of costly mistakes, bad decisions, right? Complete
Yeah.
business failure. Like we can do that because we failed way more times than you're ever going to succeed. Okay. So
Yeah,
it's just,
take me real quick, and again, you've been so gracious with your time. I really appreciate it. So take me real quick. So we've got you there. You sat down with us. You're like, dude, here's your end game. All right. You've
mhm.
got the end game. You start with the end game in mind,
Yep.
which I love because, there's so many things to do in life. Why just be buried in this? And even when you love your business, like I just interviewed an 84-year-old guy, shows up every day to work, tons and tons of money. He does not need to work.
Mhm.
He's a professional bodybuilder at 84. I mean, this guy's the real deal. I love this guy. Um, but so when you take us to the end game, right, and you go, okay, you're going to sell off for 10 million bucks. You're going to have this and this and that. Do Then what do we do? I mean, because you know how people, when they stop working, they
Mhm.
die, right? People who retire just die. So is that when you go, well, let's get into the freedom and then let's get into the impact? Is that when you
Yeah.
start taking people from the
Well,
profit to the freedom
you,
to the impact?
I'll be honest with you. I think you need to do that way before you exit. your every day. That impact should be going on every year of those 10 years. Like that should be part of your focus. Who are you giving to? Who are you helping? Who are you reaching down and bringing up? Local in your community. Who are you helping? Who you're reaching out? Who are you helping? Again, you don't have to be publicizing it, but who are you helping? Take a part of that. A lot of my clients take a percentage of all their profits and they go to their charity of choice, foster placement, battered women's shelters, whatever. So they're making impact. And that's what we want to get them to profitability really fast so they can make an impact. Right. But I think when you get to the end, so I always think about a business this way. Think of it as an apple tree, Gary. Okay. Like, do you want an 800-foot apple tree? Okay. That never stops growing, an Amazon apple tree? Okay. Really hard to get up there and get that fruit. Okay. It's way up. There's a big tree. And the only thing that continues to grow, nonstop is cancer. And what does it do? It kills its host. Right. So instead of having an 800-foot apple tree, my business is a 20-foot apple tree that produces the best Honeycrisp apples. Love them, man. They're ideal. Well, I want some more apples. Let's go do another tree. That's another business. Like we said, either it ties into the spoke or completely new. And next thing you know, I've got an orchard. I've got 9, 10 businesses. I got 12 businesses that run themselves. I'm now that investor, that owner. I've reached that point through my first business. I exited with that. Now I'm able to be the true conductor of multiple businesses, right? Bring in those SMEs, those subject matter experts to run the business, find the right
Wait,
people.
bring in the what?
Call them SMEs, subject matter experts.
Subject matter experts
Yeah,
to
so
run
they're
those individual businesses. Okay.
exactly, they're great at this, right? So let's bring them in and I'll begin it. I'll fund it. I'll get it started. They get a percentage. I get a percentage, but they run it. Right. So we do that kind of thing. So that's what you look for. You're not going to go sit around doing nothing. I mean, if you grew a business and you sold it for 10 million, 100 million, whatever it is, you're a guy who gets things done. Okay. You need that. That's a lifeblood. And I love that. I'm that way. I love it. I will go do it. I mean, you have to put my own restraints on myself, right? I love it. I'll talk. That's why I'll do this forever. We talk about this for hours, right? I mean, I love this stuff. So you have to do this. It's just how do you direct it? So the next plan, you just come up with the next plan. Now, when you're reaching that 10-year point and you're going to get to 10, everything systemized, again, quality of life, you have time, right? What do you do with time? Ooh, let's work on some vision. Where are we going next? What's the strategy? What strategy are we going to put together? Just like you, it's property management. Oh, it's a cleaning service, a house. Oh, we're going to do roofing. We're going to do, I'm going to do this. Now, what are we going to do? We can have, now that's why you need the time. Otherwise, you can never get the strategy. You can't grow. You can't visualize. You don't have any free time to go sit, relax, take a day, whether you got a partner or not, or it's your wife or husband, and just hang out and go, what would be cool? Because I had a client, he just came back from a vacation with his family. He said, I'm on the plane. And we started talking about, he's already got built like 3, 4 businesses already. I was thinking about, and he's just sharing strategy. You do this down the road. If you do this, go, that's what I'm talking about. He's got that bandwidth now to do that because everything is humming, so it's never over.
Yeah.
I'm one of my favorite sayings, I think Trump said it first, retire. Right? There's no retire. You retire. You put 4 new tires on to get going back down the road. I go, that's me. I have no
Who'd you say
plans
said
to
that
ever.
first?
I think it was Trump. I think I heard Trump say that.
Of
So I
course he
heard it.
did.
Right.
Freaking
So I'm like, that's it. I go, that is it. That's me.
retire, not retire.
Even when I
You
was
know,
20, I was never going to retire. I'm like, I'm never going to retire. God,
I,
no.
I think I got to have my son go and go to your coaching program. He's awesome. My one son, my youngest son, is in the Air Force. He runs the kennel at Andrews Air Force Base. He's awesome. They love him and hate him at the same time. They keep promoting him because they love him because he's so good, but they
Yeah.
hate him because he's not a yes man. And
Yeah.
he challenges them all the time. They say, you got to do that. And he's like, no, sir, because under the code it says this. That they're like, oh man, we love him, but we hate
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
My oldest son works for me works with me. He's my partner. But I remember when we were blowing and going, and he was going to come into the business and stuff. And he goes, yeah, Dad. He's like 25. He goes, I'm going to kill it. And at 35, I'm going to retire with a bunch of money and move to Hawaii and hang out. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Right. Then what are you going to do? And so now he's 31. He's having a second child in another week or so, and I'll have my third grandchild. And now his like mind is like we get the dry erase board and like just we get up there and we just hammer the numbers, work and we go. Yeah, but yet he's because he's so triple analytical, and I'm not analytical at all. I have a
Right.
zero analytical mind at all.
Right.
That he gets in the weeds too much. He gets in the
Right.
minutia, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So what I love what you're doing is getting people to expand. It's like you can get in the minutia or go hire a CPA, right? Because
Right.
your gift is expansion. Your gift is growth. Your
Right.
gift is mind. So I love how you're bringing that to people.
Yeah, it's critical. I have one of my 19-year-old sons. Um, he has a goal to be financially independent by the time he's 24. And that's been his goal for a long time, right? And he's on his way. He's already moved out. He's doing his thing, and like he'll get there. And he's
Yeah.
not looking. He doesn't buy stuff. He's not. He's a quality life guy, but he's got an online business. He's working another job, and he's just building and saving and creating. And I'm like, you'll do it. I said because independently being financially independent is all relative. If I need 1,500 a month to live, I can get independently financially independent pretty fast. Right. It's like that's what I'm saying. Quality of life.
Yeah.
He's not out spending everything he's making to have a good time. He's like dialed into the business. So I'm helping him with stuff. Here, watch this, learn this, learn this. I'm taking him through this path to help him speed his business to a higher level of success. He's got to do it, but I'm giving him the tools to make it happen. And with that mindset, imagine if we had that mindset at 18, 19. I'm a goof in the Marine Corps. I don't know. I'm just looking to kill somebody. You know what I mean? So what do I know? You know, but I'm like,
My
life
my
would be
two
way
year old
different.
my 2 year old grandson is smarter at 2.5 years old than I was at 18. All
Nice.
right, this
Well, yeah.
kid is 10 times smarter than I was at 18. But it's through osmosis, your children
Mm-hmm.
just picked up your vibe, even if you
Yeah.
weren't actively, they saw Dad. My kids, would come into our real estate office. My wife ran the property management, I ran the real estate, and just through that, it's like our son, even though he's in the Air Force, he's on his fourth house.
Right.
He's like, how can I use my VA again? How
Yep.
far away do I have to be? Like I live in San Antonio. How far down in San Antonio do I
Yep.
send it, right? To still use my
Mm-hmm.
VA? Well, they go
Right.
96 miles. Like, great. I'm going to go buy a house 96 miles from this one and use my VA. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
Zach, that's
That's
brilliant.
awesome.
No
Awesome.
money down homes, right? Just keep buying them all over the money. That
Yeah.
was easier when it was 3% interest, right?
Right. Right.
But Richard, you're awesome. Honest to God, I could talk to you forever. This stuff just excites the crap out of me. You're awesome. I mean, I can't. I'm going to send this to my son. I never send him. He doesn't even. He's not even into my podcast, right? He's like, Dad,
Right. Right.
whatever. You're old.
Yeah.
How good could it
Yeah.
be?
Yeah.
Um, but I'm going to send him this one. We're going to
Good.
watch this one in the office
Good.
because this is great. He needs to listen to you and get into your deal. So, I have one more question, and then I want
Mm-hmm.
to get into the nuts
Mm-hmm.
and bolts of how people reach you and stuff. Um, I always give you the what if you could question ahead of time because
Mm-hmm.
it's just no brainer. But the last question I ask people before I set them free is if there's a message that you had for the folks listening, if there's a thought that you had, if it's a spiritual message, if it was something that was important to you, whether it's your business, your philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
life, whatever. If there's something that just was like, as Richard Walsh, I just believe this in my heart. If there's a message you'd like to share with folks, what would that be?
I try to keep it like 3 words. Okay. It's do hard things.
Do hard things.
What I want people to do, what I want them to understand, Gary, is do hard things. Yeah, I do a lot of physical stuff. There's everything in the world that can be hard. Working on a computer can be hard for people like me. Okay. So, like physical, I got that. Right. I love doing that. I love to push myself. I like to suffer. I like that. But I want people to do hard things continuously, not once. Oh, I ran a marathon once. Well, what have you done for me lately? Like don't tell me what you did. What are you doing? What's next? What's the next hard thing you're engaged in? Because that's what stretches you. That's what keeps you sharp. And that's what gives you opportunity. Doing hard things creates opportunity. People need to understand that. We all want to shy away from pain. Everyone's going to pull away from pain. But when you embrace it and you go live in it, right, it opens up opportunity. You start to see things differently. So I would say that's one of my biggest things, being resolute on things. Now, favorite quote of mine, I'll share with you. I've been saying it for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. I heard it from a guy, as far as I know, it was Steve Ilg. He wrote a book called The Outdoor Athlete. Okay. And he had this quote in there with no one attributed to it. So I'm like, it must be his. But it goes, dedication to a goal that never wavers, resolution. This is the basic principle in the life of every truly great character. He who resolves upon any great and good end has, by that very resolution, clothed himself in power and has scaled the chief barrier to it. Like, I memorized that like 30 years ago, never forgot, put it on my gym walls. I see it. Stuff. It's like, that is like, that's,
Walk me through what that means to you, because it's a big statement, and there's a lot of pieces to that. What is that, if you don't mind taking a little more time? What does that mean to you? That's a pretty big statement.
yeah. So resolution, dedication to a goal that never wavers. Okay. You can put this in the grit category, whatever you want, resolution, persistence. You can put it all underneath that, but it's staying to the end, staying until you've achieved it. Dedication to a goal that never wavers. Okay. And when you look at the greats, people have done big and great things. If you ever read the book Grit by Angela Duckworth, phenomenal book. She's a researcher, did this whole, it's an awesome book. And it talks about grit. It's not intelligence. It's not creativity.
It's
It
called
comes
grit,
grit.
Grit.
Yep. Angela Duckworth. It's phenomenal. She does this whole thing with West Point and all the kids who achieved the most at West Point were not the best, smartest. They weren't the best athletes. They were guys with the most grit. And she did all these studies, all these great people, and it's grit. And then there's a test you can take, okay, on there and see where you land on the grit scale. I'm just going to say this, Gary. I'm 97% on the grit scale. Okay. Not bragging or
Wow,
anything, but just,
Richard, I'm shocked. I'm totally shocked.
shock. So, and I just, but the whole, it's that determination to get punched in the face, to get knocked down, get up. It's to lose today and come back and play tomorrow. Great athletes are those people. They can lose today, come back, play tomorrow, and win again. Right. So that's the do hard things. And that's that in summary of that. If you want to be great, you got to stick to it. Great things aren't easy things. They're difficult. So if you're going to set the goal, it can't be a goal you can actually think like, well, yeah, I can get that. It's not a goal. That's a to-do list. Okay. I mean, it's like, I'm talking about like, you got a plan. Okay. If you're going to do the 10-year exit strategy, okay, that's a goal. You got to stick to that. That's why it's a filter. That's why you stay on the path and you keep the main thing, and you get that done. So, and you develop the ways to do it. So I think that's the summation of that quote, and why I love it so much. It's a basic principle in every truly great character. I love that.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to be a great character?
That's
You know?
that's powerful, brother. I mean, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what you said? Just a couple more things there. I'm trying to let you go, but I can't. Why can't I quit you, man?
I love it.
Um, when I got cancer, a friend of mine sent me a card, and all it said inside was, we can do hard things." That's all it said. Gets me goosebumps. I kept it. Matter of fact, I kept my stupid radiations,
Yeah.
dude, the
Yeah.
mask thing, even
Yeah.
though I
Yeah.
hated being under that thing, because I look at
Yeah.
it all the time. I go, I'm never getting under that thing again. Can do
Right.
whatever it takes, right? But
Right.
do hard things.
Yeah.
You know, we've got such a horribly weak, soft society. We've got generations of weak children, weak kids, weak men that just won't do hard things. And the visual, I don't know what movie it is. It's probably a bunch of them. But when you said you got to taste your own blood that someone else inflicted upon you, or however you said that, there's a
Split.
movie where the dude frickin' gets tried to be a pacifist. Maybe it was Billy Jack. I mean, it might even go that
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
But the dude frickin' gets kicked in the face and he just goes,
Yeah.
and it's on, right? It's on like
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
You unleash the beast when he tastes his own blood. It's like,
Yeah.
really? So
Yeah.
when you said that, I was like, ugh, goosebumps. That's so true. And until you've been there, like we've been there, right? Until we've
Right.
been there, you have no idea what you're capable of.
Yeah. So true. You know, you talk about the soft thing. So my son went in the Marine Corps a year ago. I was in 40 years ago. Um, and then second day of the second week. So the first week's basically admin, right? You got a temporary DI, and then you get your real DIs at the beginning of week two. So second day of week two with the DIs, he had 55 guys in the platoon, 20 dropped. I'm talking trying to kill themselves. I'm talking 20. When I was in, we had 55 when we started. One guy wanted to drop, had his mother got a senator to call. So you can imagine his life after that. Right now, we talked him into staying. Okay, it was like the DI could like, a senator, get over here. You know what I mean? And it was just, it
We're all gonna
was
beat you with socks full of rocks, bro.
right. So 20, I can't believe it. Right. So they graduated with 35. Then he gets to SOI, which is School of Infantry, humping hills, carrying 100 pounds. Guys dropping like flies. Don't want to hump the hill. Don't want to do this hill. And here's the worst part: when someone drops, they divvy up all their gear with everyone who stayed. They got to carry it.
That's
My
awesome.
son's like 155 pounds, 158 pounds, right? He's carrying like a buck 20 for like 2 days on end on his back. Okay. And doing it, humping the hills, doing it. He doesn't quit. Right. But all these guys just kept dropping. Then he gets to MSG school, which is Marine Security Guard. That's embassy guarding, all that kind of stuff. 65 guys dropped from the course. You know, quit, didn't do this, couldn't do this, did all this stuff, you know, the whole thing. It's the third hardest school in the Marine Corps. But like you go, and that's a year. Like all these, you talk about, so these guys just don't have the grit to push you in. Yeah, but I look at my son, and we go there for the graduation down at Quantico, and we see this in the picture, and he's in the blues, and you're like, dang, he's going off to guard embassies, man. He's going to be on the M side. He's doing all this just amazing stuff. And where he wants to go, he's so goal focused. You know, he achieves everything. You know, a really cool story. When he was younger, he was in Boy Scouts, right? So they're kind of a couple of guys in the Scouts were making fun of him and his buddy Kyle that they weren't going to get an eagle, right? You're not going to, you guys don't, you know, making fun, really razzing him and stuff. So him and his buddy Kyle, they made a little silent pact with each other. Go, we're going to do it. We're going to get our eagles. And it's going to tear me up. But that other kid, you know, I think it was like 2 years later, I think he was maybe 16, 17, took his own life, you know, commits suicide and stuff. So my son, just in honor of that, made sure he got that eagle. You know what I mean? So it was, man, it's hard. But you get that kind of, I know that's that determination. That's that goal and that why and stuff like that. And then, so he got that. And then he tells me he wants to go in the Marine Corps, you know, first going to be Navy SEAL, then not that. Then he ended up going Marine Corps, which is cool. And now just watching this over time, we just did a podcast together. I was as guests, and he shared this is really cool for someone else. But that's what I'm saying. Like I see it in him that there's no quitting. I trained, he did 3 a days, Gary. We trained 3 a days for 7 months before we went to basic. Condition in the morning, half-hour break, run 6 to 10 hills, 6 to 10 miles. Okay. He'll run then in the afternoon in the pool. You know, 7 months straight. Basic training was relief. It was recovery for him, right? Because but that's the determination he has. You know what I mean? Just that stick to, he's a boxer. Wanted to teach him how to box. So he did boxing for a year and a half. You know, so he got in there. He's a runner in Junior Olympics. He wanted to go there. We did it. I trained him for a year plus, got to Junior Olympics, you know? So that's the dedication to a goal. That's that determination. That's the grit I'm talking about. You know, the people are just, you can achieve it, right? It's just stay in there. And I've been through it. I still go through that stuff. I don't do anything that's easy. You know, it's always just the next thing and next thing, keep going. I get it, you know, and it's not false hope. And it's not only that, it's like determination. It's grit, it's resolution. You know, that's where it's at. That's what it's all about. You know, like I said, when you can influence your children and they pick up that because they saw it, you didn't tell them, they saw you do it. I mean, that is, it's in and of itself. It's amazing.
You know, your son just has that gift that you probably, I don't know where he got it because you don't do much, but he, it's the unstoppable mind.
Yeah.
You know, and I love when I talk to someone like you that just has that unstoppable mind. It's like, what can I do next? Where can I go next? Who can I help next? What can I give next? You know, who can I inspire next? How do I improve myself next? How do I get myself better next? And it's not a pressure thing, it's not an ego
Right.
thing. It's
Right.
just in you. You've got that unstoppable mind. But it's teachable. The unstoppable mind is teachable, and what you're
Yes.
doing is so awesome because you can get people just by who you are to to embrace that unstoppable mind,
Right.
right? You've got the background, you've got the track record, you've got the story. That's all well and good, right? A lot of people have shitty stories.
Right.
But then you've taken the story of empowerment to say, I can continuously overcome
Yes.
with the right mindset and with the right tools, right? So you're giving people the tools and trying to help them with the mindset, which is a lot harder than giving them the tools. But yeah, Rich, what you're doing is awesome, brother. I
Yeah. Thank
love
you.
what you're doing, man. And God bless you with doing the homeschool. Thank God you're saving your children
Yes.
from a
Yes.
life of
Yeah.
madness.
Yes. Yes. Boy, I could do a whole show on that one. Boy, yeah, it's been best
We could
decision we ever
totally do a.
made.
I
You
got a
know.
feeling you
So
and I can do a whole show on
yeah. Yeah.
another thing that probably would be banned from
Right.
Facebook
Right.
and
Yeah. So
YouTube.
be membership only. You know, only for membership ears only.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, to subscribers
That's right.
only, because it'll
Patreons.
be.
Yes. Patreons only. Yeah, we can do that. But yeah, no, you're right, Gary. And that is how I hope everyone takes away. You know, just that resolution, that the grit can be taught. It isn't inherent. You know, it can be taught. That's the beauty of things. There's just like leadership, it can be taught. No one's born a leader. You know, they're not. You just no one's born really anything. We all have a purpose. You know, I've been put here for a reason. We're born for a time such as this. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. You know, and it took a long, all the stuff I've done is like I was meant for all of that. I was meant for like that failure in '09, greatest thing ever happened to me. Not at the time, but look, what am I doing? Look what I'm doing now. Look how many people I'm saving from that end. Because a lot of people might not have gotten through that. Family still intact, figured out where to go, what to do. I mean, that was not a, you know, we saw a lot of that in '08, '09, right? So, I mean, I'm glad I did it the way I did it because I knew it worked for me. So I understood myself. But I think it's just important for people to know, man, that persistence and that pushing through and seeking for help is what's so critical. Like it's all the answers are there. Everything is there if you just look. You'll find it. You know, it's not nothing is unsurmountable, like you said. You know, you can do it. You just gotta just wake up, get out of bed, and go. Just hit the floor, and just it's time. Let's do what we got to do. Let's get after it. Right, make that decision. You know, and do it, and then you'll see doors open like you've never seen before. It's amazing, you know, because there's a willingness. You know, people are drawn to that. They're drawn to that kind of stuff. You know, that energy, that willingness. This guy's going somewhere. You know, people want to. You know, they don't want to. You know, yeah, they want to attach to something moving, not something that's standing still. You know, people don't follow something that stands still, do they?
No,
They
no.
know where to go.
And what I love about what you just said is you help them see the door 10 years down the road,
Right.
not just the door today, but you show them the door 10 years from now with your exit strategy plan. And dude, this is real. You know, this isn't a dream for you to get out of this freaking owner prison to get to this freedom point. This is real, and
Right.
it's a concept, it's steps, it's discipline, it's getting punched in the face, getting kicked in the nuts a couple times. I can take you from here to there if you will let me.
Right.
And if you don't want to, that's fine. I've got 32 million people I'm going to go
Right.
help. But if you will help me, I will get you from here to there.
Yep.
And you're awesome, dude. You're the real deal. This has been great. I'm really
Thank you,
grateful
Gary.
that you
Thank
came
you.
on. Like I said, I'm going to make my son watch this one.
Good. Good. That'll be good for him. Well,
So
All
everybody,
right.
listen, this is so grateful for your time. You've been so generous with your time. We've had the pleasure of being exposed to Richard Walsh. Richard is the author of Escape the Owner Prison. But more importantly, or as importantly, equally importantly, Richard Walsh is the CEO of Sharpen Your Spear Coaching. Richard, how do people find you to get involved with Sharpen Your Spear Coaching?
So sharpen the spear, sharpen the
Sharpen the
spear
Spear.
coaching, sharpen the spear coaching.com. That's my website. Go there, guys. There's great videos on there. You can learn some great stuff. I have a simulator. If you want to figure out, if you want to find $100,000 in additional annual hidden profit in your business, you can do it in less than 3 minutes. Go to my simulator, click on that, plug in your three numbers, and you're good to go. It'll punch out a report for you and everything else. You can reach out to me, of course, on that. You'll see contact information on there. Again, sharpenthespearcoaching.com. But this has been such a magnificent interview. Let's give your listeners a gift. I'm serious. So
Let's do it.
go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Just hit contact me, right? Send me a 1-sentence email. I'm going to make it super simple. Say, Richard, I saw you on Gary's podcast. I'd love a free copy of the audio version of Escape the Owner Prison. And I will send it to you.
Easy peasy. Let's
That's
do
it.
it. Let's do
That's
it.
it.
We're going to put the link at the end of the podcast to your Sharpen the Spear Coaching website. We're going to put little attachment thingy, whatever they call it, to the book. And so people will be able to reach you easily, and all they have to do is say, "Hey, I saw you on Gary's podcast. What if you could?" And you're going to get yourself a gift. That's awesome, man.
Excellent. Yeah. And the book's
And
on
then
Amazon. Of course, you can always go to the Amazon to get the book
and
as
I've
well.
got a thing that I keep up on my desk, and it says $1 million a year. $83,333 a month. It's then it breaks down the week, then it breaks down the day, and then it breaks down the hour. So you have to make $2,763 an hour to make $1 million. It's not as hard as you think, but it's just a concept. It's just a formula. And Mr. Richard Walsh has the formula, everybody. So check him out. And again, I can't be more grateful, brother. This has been awesome. Really
Yeah.
good.
I
Thank you.
loved every minute, Gary. You said we're going to have fun. And guess what? We had a really good time. I loved
Right?
it. Yes.
All right, brother. I'm signing off. Everybody, please look for my friend Richard Walsh. But thank you for tuning in to this episode of the What If You Could podcast. Thanks, everybody. See you on the other side. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.